for this Sandbox episode, we're excited to talk to somebody who's in charge of one of our favorite companies. We've talked about them a ton on the show recently, especially. But we are talking to the newly minted creative director for Cyclops Print Works. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Allie Moreno to the show.
Hi, guys.
What's up?
Thank you for having me.
We are
Absolutely.
so glad to talk to you.
It was like pulling teeth.
It feels like we've just been talking forever, is what it feels like.
Yes,
And
yes.
It feels simultaneously really quick, but then also like it's taken a long time.
Yeah. So peek behind the curtain. It happened today, and Allie was very flexible and just said, "Yeah, I'm available. We'll make it happen."
Yeah.
So it was
gotta
getting
do
you
that.
to agree to the show was the easiest thing ever. Actually, getting the show started a little bit harder than that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're a few
challenging.
episodes deep, but it's good.
No,
we
but
did
it's
it.
totally fine.
But we did it. We
here.
made it here. Allie, why don't you tell everybody who you are? Give us the Wikipedia page about who you are, and then we'll dive into some questions.
Well, I am a small town girl from El Paso, Texas. I had big dreams to move to LA, and along the way, one of my greatest hobbies was collecting these beloved poster prints that we all talk about all the time. And I knew in some shape or, form, I wanted to be doing something creative. So while I was in Austin, I heard about a little place called Mondo. I don't know if you've ever heard of it.
Yeah.
A few times.
A few times. And of course, I would bop in there all the time, no money, and just always ogle at everything on the walls and want it. Actually, now that I look back at it, I laugh at how I balked at those prices at the time, being like, Psh, you want what for this Ollie? Like, what's going on? Like, this was like maybe 2009, 10. I'm so terrible with like dates.
That was early
And-
Mondo time, though.
Yeah.
I was going to say, now you wish you had picked those up. You wish you had picked up that
totally,
2009 Ollie.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was, it's funny. I look back at it and just, why did I do that? I actually had a moment like that where my boyfriend and I ended up going to the Nothing's Impossible show during South by Southwest. And I still to this day have never felt like this show had so much hype, and just the energy it had behind it was insane. And I remember my boyfriend looking at that Jungle Book Ollie and being like, I hate it. Like, and not knowing.
Oh,
he
man.
had no idea. Like, he was a noob. Like, we like did not know or anything like that. And like come to find out, years later, it's like, why did we? Why?
There's
There's
gold
a
in
lot
them
of-
hills.
I know. That was a great time. But I mean, it still is. It's always changing. I always find that the hobby goes from it used to be very fast and loose, and licensing didn't really matter, and now it's very strict, and you have to follow all these like pipelines, which is what I do now. A lot of people ask me, "Oh, it must be so fun," being surrounded by Disney and doing all this Disney art. And while it is, I absolutely love that I get to work with these properties that I've loved since I was a kid. It's a lot of work getting them to be approved. There's a lot of hoops to jump through to even have them come to fruition. And it's not easy. A lot of people, I get a lot of people asking me like, why don't you do this? Why don't, like, I can't tell you how many times I actually get people asking me for a song of the South, and I want to be like, that's never going to happen. Like,
Yeah.
like, no.
No, I like having my job.
Yeah.
Like, never going to happen. I could tell you stuff like Lady and the Tramp can no longer have like the Siamese cats in there. If an artist draws the Siamese cats in there, not going to be approved, just because of the stereotype behind it. No Cyan M ever again. So I believe, who did it? Dave Perillo did a Lady and the Tramp, right? for the
You're
last
right.
show, and it slipped through. So we were so happy about it because sometimes they don't catch it. So it's always a win. But they usually are very good about catching those things. Same with, I believe, in the Nothing's Impossible show too. Which one was it? Was it The Rescuers? Where there's the crocodile in it. You can't have like crocodiles and any like open mouth crocodiles.
I see.
And in any of them because of the incident that happened in Florida.
Oh,
where,
sure, yeah.
The
Makes sense.
So Disney is like no open mouth crocodiles for like rescuers or anything like that.
Sure.
And that poster is crazy because I believe the girl is in the crocodile's mouth. So like
that's perfect. That's absolutely the image we want to be portraying. So, I have a question for you. You said this was about 2009, 2010. You were in this space where you're an admirer, maybe not even a consumer at this point, because like you said, you were kind of ogling, but you didn't really have the money to put into this.
Right. It was definitely.
What takes you from there to now, 8 years later, you're the creative director for what is, I think, arguably one of the more prestigious up-and-coming print shops because of the properties you are associated with. What's that jump look like?
That jump is honestly insane. I never thought... it's very cheesy. I honestly never thought I'd be in this position right now. This is probably the best phase in my life right now. I'm working with art and also pursuing a pretty it's not huge, but it's successful in my terms as far as a voiceover. It's very hard to crack into that industry. But Nothing's Impossible really, I go back to that show a lot because it really kind of started turning the gears, so to speak. I knew there was something about Mondo at that time that really almost had this like secret club. Like, how do I get into that club? Those guys Rob Jones, I can't even say I adore just the persona, how he carries himself.
Sure.
And I'm super attracted to that energy, which is why I wanted to continue on my path into breaking into this elusive poster world. So yeah. Come to find that just from admiration to collecting, it ended up turning into, I met James through Cyclops, actually. I bought Waylon's Jungle Book. It was my first print from Cyclops.
Gotcha. Yeah, cool.
Yeah. And from there, I ended up developing a relationship with James, and kind of, just day in and day out, he'd be like, hey, you want to come, help with this? Again, being an actor, I have a lot of downtime sometimes. So I'm like, sure, I have nothing to do. So I'd go help out sometime. He'd bring me to the animation lot, which was a dream for me to enter the doors of Disney Animation, and just continue harvesting. That's a weird word. Cultivating like these relationships with these animators that I've just looked up to since I was a kid. It was really a super geek out moment, getting to meet Ron and John, who have done Aladdin and Princess of the Frog and Moana, like all these Hercules. Oh my God, great Mouse Detective. I can keep going on. They've had such a great career, and actually getting to work with them and curate a show for them. That was one of the highlights of my time. So it's been a really great journey to work closely with Disney animators as well. But yeah, that's just sort of how it started. It was kind of very serendipitous, right place, right time, and it just turned into a full-time gig. Yeah.
So being in this position now, I guess I don't fully understand the different roles that people play. So what you're doing now for Cyclops, what does that encompass? So when it comes to whether it's curating artists or working with licensing or pairing properties with people, which pieces of that are you involved in when on the day-to-day basis?
Everything.
Great.
Everything. I don't want to say it's a one-man show because I have such a great team. Tim Dixon, who I mentioned to you earlier, way before this actually was recorded, started Cyclops in the 80s with his college buddy, Eric Junker. They named it just to backpedal a little bit, our dear Tim Dixon actually has a false eye, and it's kind of, in retrospect to go back and see that he named it way before he, had the incident with his eye is kind of really, foretelling. I always joke around like, see, you sealed your fate, man. Like you had no idea. And
that's on you.
Yeah. Years later, he is the Cyclops. So to come back and say, oh, this is a one-man show isn't the case. I am, though, in the front lines of doing the pairings with artists, figuring out what show is next. We try to do prints in tandem with Disney, obviously, their releases. But again, we have screen printers that have been doing it for 20 plus years. Our main screen printer is named Carlos Alvarado. And he has been printing everything you've seen archival that is like an attraction poster or ride for Disneyland. He's done. He prints Shag's work exclusively. I couldn't believe he used to print Rock and Jelly Bean's work too.
Just continuing that thread, for those that don't know, what Cyclops does is primarily printing, as opposed to primarily being a gallery, because you're doing all your printing there, as opposed to subbing that out. So
right.
I was saying, just if you would go and explain a little bit about the history with the machines, because I know that's like a really cool part that that kind of this magical thread that's being carried through the work you do, but then also, continue about the printing process.
There was a time a lot of people were confused. We were called Eclipse Print Shop, and that was a name that was before Cyclops was resurrected, so to speak. Again, I mentioned it's been around since the 80s. It died off, and James was running a few commissions that were, I believe, Metal Gear Solid and Killian Ng's Ico. And from there, Tim and James kind of resurrected the entire thing. Tim didn't think there was a market for it. And James was like, no, man, like there's a whole slew of people. Like it's like cool again if you need to be told. Like he thought it was a completely dead, form of art.
Sure.
And so they, resurrect that, have it come in. And the machines we're working on, like I said, I'd have to have Tim come in and speak about that because I'm not versed about them, but they do hold like a crazy history. I believe we ended up getting another one from another artist that I don't have off the top of my head recently. But as I said, we print Shag screen prints exclusively. And the process itself, sorry, I'm all over the place. Our main screen printer has been doing it for 20 plus years. And for me, he really is a magician. A lot of people, when you get your screen print, I know maybe a lot of people don't really think about how it's done or the process. You just get it and you're like, wow, cool. But it's such a labor of love, especially for us. I don't want to, I don't want to discredit anybody or, bash them. But it's such we really painstakingly go over all details when it comes down to the paper. Our stock is, we want to make it sturdy because, we understand like dents happen and all that stuff. And you'd be surprised, like you can get a dent in ours and kind of like bend it back and you would never tell that it happened. Even our paint mixer, same guy as a screen printer, he eyeballs everything. Nowadays, everything is streamlined. So it's just all automatic. So basically, it's just put in the files and the separations, and everything is just auto done. It's like boom, boom, boom. It can even be done in a day. I believe J.C. Richards' Monsters Inc. piece was printed by D&L, and that was done in a day, if you can believe that. That is kind of unheard of. Now, that's great. It really is great. But when you're getting a process done that fast, it can lead to a lot of errors. Which, again, not to say that, because I have tons of D&L prints that I have, and they're gorgeous. One of my favorites is actually, just to drop it out there, is Jason Edmondson's Hateful Eight. I look at it all the time. I look at it all the time and think, like, how? Like, I don't get it. But we really just want to take the time to do everything right. And I'm glad that it's starting to show when people get it and they see it in person, and they, the quality. And one other thing, if there's screen printers listening out there, our screen printer doesn't mix any black in his paints, and the reason why that's like shocking is because there's usually always black in like any sort of printer, like an Epson printer, anything. There's black in all colors. He completely removes that. It's not even in his color spectrum whatsoever. We have a print that is by Jasu Kim, our paperman, and it's has tones of grayscale. And believe it or not, there's no black in there whatsoever. And it was shocking to me when I heard that, because I'm like, how do you even do that? And he's like, I'm able to get those kind of grayscales with like greens and purples. So he really is a master craftsman.
Yeah,
so
awesome.
So let me ask this question: How do you as an onlooker of this, an admirer of this? Now you've very recently taken over the creative director position with Cyclops. You were an admirer of Mondo stuff. You got involved in this world, working kind of alongside James, and you got to get you waded into the waters of this, and now Mondo and Cyclops are working hand in hand on a lot of projects. You did some releases. You had a whole show in conjunction with them back in it was like early fall of last year. And then at MondoCon, you had some stuff as well.
Well, our relationship with Disney is we hold a license. So basically what that means is that we pay the mouse a lot of money to have the privilege to do Disney artwork legitimately and have it licensed and approved by them. Again, there's these system where I have to submit all this work and have them, it goes through multiple levels and steps before it's approved and comes back to us. We're not owned by Disney, but it's sort of a by proxy thing because we do hold the license. We work very intimately with, and a lot of the new thing that we've been trying to do with Cyclops is introduce new artists and have fans have work straight from the tap, so to speak. So you as Disney fans can have artwork done by the very people that work on the films that you love. We have Benson Shum, Brittany Lee, Griselda. I couldn't pronounce her last name right now. It's a mouthful, but she's such a great artist. Joe Dunn. And so although those aren't common names like, the Horkies and Daniel Dangers and all them fine folks, we really wanted to bring something new and have, collectors really be able to get their hands on work from these artists that they probably normally wouldn't be able to get in, every day. So I hope people can start to really appreciate that aspect of it.
All right, so shifting gears a little bit. So obviously the posters have been a big part of your world up to this point. Certainly the work you're now doing with Cyclops, that's a big part of your world. But you have another thing you've kind of teased a few times, which is the voiceover work that you do. So most recently, or at least maybe a big thing from recent, I see that you were involved with Coco in some way with voiceover work. So maybe talk about that part of your creative life and the work you do on that side.
Yeah. Getting the call for Coco was weird. Just to put it out there, if anyone is remotely interested in voiceover, please, by all means, find a way to contact me. It is a very hard industry to break into, yes, but it's not impossible. You just need to know where the right avenues are and just, be persistent about it. It's not something that happens overnight. People get really frustrated and then quit. I've been doing this for quite some time. I also worked for Blizzard Entertainment, and I got the bug there. Just being around so many video games, I just was like, I want to do this, like I want to be, Trixie from World of Warcraft, or, I want to do these things. So
who doesn't?
And I did radio in Houston, and I just wanted to continue from there. And that was, again, I'm one of those kids that just wanted to do everything. I never just focused on that one thing, but felt like I was pretty good at a lot of things. And again, I started doing voiceover in 2009, and then just continued from there. But I remember my agent calling me, and she was like, call this number, you're going to get a voicemail, and just speak Spanish into it. And I was like, huh? And she's like, I was like, oh, are you sure?
That's a weird request, but okay.
Yeah, she's like, you just speak Spanish into it. And I was like, you just speak Spanish into it. All right. So I called this random number, and I hate to say I didn't really take it too seriously because I thought it was weird. Like, the voicemail box just beeped. It didn't say whose office it was, like who it belonged to. You just literally call this voicemail box, and it just goes beep, and you just speak into it. It doesn't tell you where it's going.
That's nuts.
Yeah.
Wow. It's like a secret society.
It was so weird. It was. And so I'm over here like, again, I'm not taking it seriously. And I'm like, yeah, hola, soy Alejandra, soy del Paso, me gustan los burritos and tamales, and I'm, just saying gibberish that, like, nobody should take seriously. And, like, a week later, I get a call back from this mysterious voicemail box. And it's Barbara Harris from the Loop Group. Now, a lot of people don't know who she is, but you know who she is because this is a weird statistic, but it's true. 9 out of 10 movies that you've seen have been dubbed over, or the audio, all that good stuff that you can hear has been done by Barbara Harris and her Loop Group.
She was the voice of Optimus Prime.
Yeah, that was her. She does a whole bunch of audio, and Walla, her groups focus on doing Walla, or if it's a foreign film, she'll cast people to do the dub overs. And Walla is just background noise, like people in a cafe, like just chatting. She just boom mics will come over you and just pick up a little bit of bits of of that. So she calls me, and she's very secretive about it too. And she's like, okay, I want to cast you for this film, and I need you to be at this address at this time, and don't be late. She doesn't tell me.
And you knew who she was, though.
I knew who she was, yes.
Okay.
Yes. And so
it wasn't a stranger just giving you an address and telling you to show up.
Right. I wanted I wanted to trust my agent wasn't like sending me into a den of
your demise.
Because again, the whole thing so far has been really shady.
Super shady.
It's super shady. I remember telling like everyone like, this is so weird. Like, I don't know what's going on. I wanted to trust that she wasn't sending me into all the debacles of Hollywood going on right now.
Sure. Right.
So I just trusted it. Went I don't have a vehicle out here in Los Angeles, and a lot of people think that's strange. I've been taking public transportation the entire time I've been out here in the 3 years I've been here. So I take a bus there. I think I had to transfer a bus and then a subway ride there, and arrived to Sony Studios. And was like, oh my God, you know, like this is
why
my
am I
first
here?
lot. Yeah, I was like, oh my God, you know, and of course I totally look like I'm not supposed to be there, and the security guard's like, what are you doing, little girl? And I'm like, I'm supposed to be here, and so it was.
They said, doing what? And you said, I have no idea.
Yeah, like I had no clue, you know. I just know I'm supposed to meet this woman. Never met this woman in my life. I just spoke to Barbara over the phone. Never met her in person. And he's like, oh. Okay, and so he sends me back to these, you know, crazy sound studios, and right there, after meeting Barbara, is the amazing Lee Unkrich, and my, at this point, heart just falls through my stomach, and I may get a little emotional here. Lee, I've known Lee, and this was a dream come true for me because I remember vividly watching Toy Story as a 6-year-old in theaters, and knowing, I'm like, I want to do that. I want to do this. And he wrapped up that series so beautifully with Toy Story 3. He was the director of Toy Story 3. Mm-hmm. And I just couldn't believe it. And John Lasseter was there as well. Yeah, so
those are some good people.
That's a good room to be in.
Yeah, and so it was seriously one of those moments that I'll never forget. And it actually got me into SAG because at the time, it's a very catch-22. Need the work to get into SAG, but you can't get, you know, SAG if you don't have the work.
Sure.
So
Right.
I ended up getting Taft-Hartley into this, and basically that means that Pixar couldn't find the right person for the casting, so they pay the fee to SAG in order to have you in this union job. So that's really a golden ticket for actors to get Taft-Hartley into the union because it's very hard to get in. So here I was, you know, just basically doing Walla for Coco, and Lee actually held me back with a couple of other actors, and he wanted to cast them as speaking roles. And I'm just, over here like, oh my God, you know, just like inside, like, how do I not screw this up, you know? Mm-hmm. And sure enough, I got a small little speaking role. I welcome all into the land of the dead for Coco.
Nice.
And although it's probably like 3 seconds, it's really cool to finally see like 6-year-old me like do it and be like, I made it onto a Pixar film, even if it's for 3 seconds.
Kidding. Holy cow.
Man.
Yeah.
It's such a beautiful Pixar film too. Like it's so, like I feel like with every Pixar film they dig a little bit deeper into this well of emotion. At least for me. Or maybe it's just me getting older and becoming more of a sap. But like, as they go, I get more and more sucked into this rabbit hole.
No, it was a really beautiful film. I got really lucky to work on it, being that I'm Hispanic myself, so it really hit home. A funny thing was I ended up going to Paris like a month ago and watched it with some friends out there, and we watched the original version. But I was actually kind of like, why are Parisians gonna like get this? Because it's a very different like culture, you know, thing. Mm-hmm. And you could tell who were like from, you know, either Spanish, from Spain, or people that spoke Spanish, because like they're sobbing, right? And then you get the French like, why are they crying? You know, it's just like, why do you cry? And it's just like, oh, they did not get it, but it was, I actually heard one of them like ask somebody like, why are you crying? So it was kind of neat to see it in that, you know, element, you know, away from.
Right, in that context.
Sure. Yeah.
So let me ask, I want to shift us into our finals so that we can be aware of your time and keep this bite-sized for everybody. So I'll ask mine and take us in there. As I'll shift us back over to Cyclops, at least for a moment.
Absolutely.
Is there a property within the Disney sphere, which is primarily what you guys are kind of known for and what you do, And by the way, thank you. This is kind of a sub thing. Thank you for taking risks and doing different things with your printing. We talked about that a little bit on the show before, about how you guys do things with metallic inks and do things with different kinds of paper and things like that are very fun and unique and make all of your work. Like I have a Cyclops. I have the Big Hero 6 Cyclops print in my hallway right down the hall.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, the web does not do justice to it, right? The paper and everything. So thank you for doing that. But is there a property? I wanted to say that before we got off air, and I was going to forget if I didn't just shoehorn it into this part. Is there a property, Disney property, that you have yet to do, but that you are actively trying to get done, just so that you can have the personal satisfaction of having one of these pieces on your wall?
Fast enough. I wanted to interrupt you. Yes, absolutely. Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
Oh man,
we have we have an amazing artist behind it, and I can't tell you who it is. But I know the moment people see it, this is one that I know people are just going to be talking about. I think it breaks molds for Cyclops. It gets away. I mean, I do understand we work with a lot of Disney properties, so we can't be as edgy as Mondo or Bottleneck or, Hero.
Sure.
So I really believe with this, it'll be one of those milestones for Cyclops when you look back on its publishing, printing careers and just be like, that was a good one for them. And
you do not know how happy you just made Andrew, by the way.
I have no idea how happy I am. No idea.
I'll tell you on the side who it is, but I really want... I can't wait. We're having a little bit of obviously some issues with getting approved, but I'm stubborn, man. I'm a fiery Latina. I will not take no for an answer. So if I have to have that person go back and change it 50 more times, then I'll find a way to have them change it 50 more
Please.
times. But
stay the course.
Yeah.
Stay the course. If for only me, stay the course.
I mentioned it. I told Eric Garza from Mondo about this project, and he's like, "Holy hell!" He's like,
yeah.
He's like, you gotta stay on that one. And he even asked me what any updates on that and how's that going? I'm like, we're trying, dude. We're trying to get it through this pipeline, but.
When we get off air, I'll share some more stuff with you so that this isn't about my love of Roger Rabbit, but make sure that that's exciting news. Okay, Patrick, why don't you take it?
Yeah, I'll just throw it in. We haven't talked about any of the upcoming events that you have going on. So if you would just share those, where can people expect to see you in the near future and maybe some of these new releases?
Right. Well, 2018 is shaping to be a crazy year for Cyclops. I feel like as each passing year goes by, we just get, work up to our eyeballs, but that's good. Because really in this community, I know a lot of people see Cyclops as someone who's really in their infancy. A lot of people just believe, they've only been around for a few years, and but that's not the case. So as each year keeps passes us, we're so grateful to have more artists actually reach out to us and wanting to be like, I want to do this. So we're just taking what we can and figuring out where which artist goes, as far as pairings. I try to be very mindful of that, which artist would be great with what property. Because at the end of the day, I'm a collector myself, so I always do ask myself that would I want this? It is very important for me to always kind of play a fine line between the collectors, would they want this, but also, really allow the artist to be an artist. Let them do what they do best. I try not to really peg them into, over directing. But you got to kind of wheel them in a little bit because they are artists and they go crazy. But as far as what's coming up for 2018, my favorite, I finally am able to put all this useless knowledge that I've had since I was a kid into a show, and we're doing a tribute to Disney television, so that encompasses Disney Afternoon and all of Disney TV Today with Gallery Nucleus on the 24th of February. We'll be having Cyclops will be screen printing 5 of those pieces, and then the rest will be all from Gallery Nucleus. So they'll either be originals, Duclays, and all that good stuff. So I'm very excited for everybody to see what's coming out. We have Nika Delort on there. I'm so excited for what he's doing. Tom Whalen, of course, he's the impeccable Tom Whalen. I mean, I feel like he can never do no wrong. His composition and colors are just spot on every time. We have Hakto Oshiro, who's very new. She did the 3 Caballeros recently for us, and we were all very surprised when she sold out. It is very hard to get people to buy into an artist that is new and they have nothing, to really base her work off of. And we were just, it was a strong image too. So I was ready to place all my bets on this horse. I was like, no, this is a good image. Let's gamble on her. I know she's new. Let's do it. And really, there was no posters for the 3 Caballeros. I haven't seen any. So I felt like it was a good, safe bet. She's in on this show. And the list is insane. Darren Nefsey, actually, who is the creator of Star vs. the Forces of Evil, is doing a piece herself. So I think that's really cool that we're able to get these people who have worked on these shows to do pieces. Like I said, you're getting work straight from the tap. And that's super exciting for me as a huge Disney foamer. Our other show coming up is one that was kind of just very whirlwind, and we're trying to present a pretty just a good show all around. Is A Wrinkle in Time with Heroes Complex, or Hero Complex, excuse me. I was thinking about the actual complex. So with HCG, and that'll be the day before the Disney Afternoon show on the 23rd of February. And although it's a property that's not well known, it's really just to help promote the film, and we have a lot of great artists who are doing gorgeous paintings, and it's a lot of concept work, so you get to kind of, if you're in the LA area, able to come by and see just kind of what went into the film. So I'm glad Disney is starting to really open up and be like, this is how we do things. This is how it comes into fruition. Yeah.
Given seeing the previews of the film, given like the costuming and the makeup and all that stuff, it seems like, and then obviously the some of the, like, it looks like time bending or whatever. It seems like you could have some really cool prints come out of that. Some like really creative uses of color and stuff. So I think that'd be very exciting.
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting.
Can you tell everybody where they can find you? We spent a lot of time talking about what it is that you guys do. Tell everybody where they can see this stuff, how they can buy this stuff, because there's still stuff in your store that can be picked up. I mean, there's pieces by Alex Ross. Like, are you freaking kidding me?
I know. Actually, I want to blurb about that a little bit. I don't think a lot of people know about this. Thank you so much for bringing it up, by the way. I can't thank you enough. I got so excited. If you don't know, Alex Ross is doing an entire Disney line with us. That is huge because it was like pulling teeth. He was very kind of like, toe in the water, like, I don't know, but it started all with the Beauty and the Beast piece, and that ended up selling for like $50,000. I was shocked. I couldn't believe somebody bought it, for $50K. And then he was just like, okay, so it seems like there's like a demand for it. It's just like, So,
you think? Yeah.
Yeah, and so they're all hand signed, by the way. If you end up getting one of these pieces, Alex Ross himself has signed the entire edition, so I think that's even cooler. So you'll be seeing more from this line. It is a bit of a process because he does paint all of this, but I'm so excited because we have a lot in the classic film era that he's doing that I think he's really putting a good spin on. I was really excited to see the Snow White he did. It was just gorgeous. So yes, thank you for mentioning that. If you don't know, we have Alex Ross Disney series in the Cyclops shop still. You can find
Yeah.
Go ahead. I didn't mean
No, I was just going to say, I was going to plug it if you weren't going to say the website, but go for it.
Yeah. You can find us at cyclopsprintworks.com. Our handle is at Cyclops Prints on Instagram and Twitter. I am basically attached. A lot of people know me from, if you have happened the chance to meet me in person, from fans of Disney Prints. Hi guys. I'm very active in the community again. Although I'm, it's very weird for me to say because I don't really consider myself like a creative director. Again, I always put myself in the shoes of the collectors because I'm still one with you guys. I get excited myself where I'm like, yes, I want you guys to see this. I want you guys to have this and be excited about it and put it in your collection. So by all means, please pester me. I am always either online, if you have questions about, just art in general or voiceover or anything as far as, that sort of industry, please, by all means, reach out to me. I absolutely love talking about this.
And newly in our Slack channel, so you can find her there as well. Hey, would you do us a favor? And before we head out of here, will you help us pick our tokens for next week?
Yes, absolutely.
Perfect. All right. Awesome. Well, that's it for our nope, not around the table. That's it for our interview portion of this episode. Up next, we're going to draw some tokens. Every week, we draw tokens to figure out exactly what our categories are. Then we pick our topics based on those categories. Here are the tokens. They're very real. They're very real.
Token.
I don't know. I was fine with real. I don't know why I went for a second one, right? I'm going to shuffle them up. They're face down on my desk. I can't see what they are. Give me a number between 1 and 3, and you'll be picking for Patrick.
All right, Patrick. I will go with 5.
Okay. I'm going to give you 3.
Just give me 3.
That seems the closest. TV and film, Patrick. You got it.
Nice.
Yeah. Sweet.
All right. Give me a number, either 1 or 2.
Let's go with 2.
2. That's for me, I guess. I should have said that. Art and design. That means, Luke, you got toys and games.
All
that means we all
right.
have our own category. We
Sweet.
did it. Thank you so much, Allie, for being on the show. I'm so glad that you have taken the reins. It seems like you've got a really, really big job ahead of you, and we could not be more thrilled for where Cyclops is heading. We'd love to partner with you in all sorts of things throughout this year and beyond. And so if you have not checked out Cyclops and what they're putting out, you're not doing it right. So go check out Cyclops as soon as this episode is over and buy something. Good Lord. Buy an Alex Ross piece of artwork that is hand-signed.
Amazing. Yes.
I don't know what you're doing if you're not doing that. But thank you so much for being on the show. You can find us on mofonepodcast.com, where you can find show notes and links to all the stuff we just talked about. If you're watching this on YouTube, just look below the old video. Like, subscribe, share, follow, all the different things. We're MF1 Podcast everywhere. We're on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, and Spotify. We're on Slack. Go to mf1podcast.com/Slack to join the conversation. You can hit up Allie in there or any of the other number of Facebook groups that she's a part of. You can talk to any
workplace.
of us.
You can come to my workplace. You can go to Luke's workplace.
You could go to, literally anywhere.
And I'm always looking for artists. So by all means, if you're an aspiring artist and think, you want to come up to bat, please show me what you're working with. Absolutely. Please come find me.
That's an all call, everybody.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That is an open invitation, and there you have it. Like I think that's the first time that anyone's ever said that on the show.
Yeah.
And there's worse people to have said that. So take her up on that offer. Guys, this has been a fun episode. Find us all over the place. Just search MF1 Podcast. You can support the show on Patreon. Go to patreon.com/MF1 Podcast. You know the drill. All of our new fans who are listening, because Allie's on here and she's amazing and she has an awesome following, give us a follow, give us a like, give us a share. We have a ton of episodes with so many of these artists that Allie is working with right now. Yes. Go to the archive and listen to them. Man, this community gets better and better every time we do this. We're going to get out of this episode. I'm Andrew.
I'm Patrick.
I'm Luke.
I'm Allie.
Peace out.
Bye.
Hold on to your butts.
Stay woke, all you Cyclopes.